McDermott. I'm the Group Head of Sustainability in PM Group, and I'm just going to talk about our role in project delivery and sustainable design, and just really take you through our experience of it, and particularly the challenges of trying to embed sustainability into projects. So firstly, I'm mandated really to give you a little introduction to my company. It's kind of corporate policy really, but we're about 2,100 people, located in 18 offices across the globe, headquartered in Ireland, offices Dublin and Cork, founded in Ireland in about 1973. Our main project area is the private industry sector. So we focus on pharmaceutical building development, food manufacturing plants. One of our biggest sectors then is what's known as mission critical. It was referred to earlier as data centers, data server centers. So they'd be our three big focus areas. It's private sector. We don't do a lot of work, say, for what you heard earlier about the OPW or buildings of that nature. It's predominantly private industry. The services are, it's literally a one-stop shop suite of project deliveries, design and project delivery. So a client might come to Ireland and we'll do everything from going around the country with the IDA, site selection, master planning, engineering design, that could be mechanical, civil, structural, process, building services, every discipline under the engineering suite we have. And but our main thing is managing that project design, managing the delivery of the project, and managing the construction phase of the project. We have specialty services such as health and safety, process safety in particular. But we also do things like sustainability, hence where I'm here today. Our clients, as you can see, are predominantly private sector. So your Coca-Colas, GSKs, Pfizer, Novartis, people like this, Microsoft. It's that corporate blue chip type. And at the essence of everything, it's project delivery. Somebody comes, they want to develop a new project or upgrade an existing facility, and that's what we do. We design it and we deliver the project right through the management of the program, management of the project, and the construction management. But at the heart of it, we have our own company core values, such as health and safety. We have a huge amount of awards for health and safety throughout our construction management side of the business, and also sustainability. We have a business ethos in terms of wanting to be a sustainable organisation in our business activities. I'm pretty much going to talk about that today in terms of how we try to achieve that in our projects and the challenges that we come across. So the first question I often have to answer and ask internally when I'm doing training is, what is it? What is sustainability in the context of an engineering project? Listening today and walking around conferences like this throughout the years, you find that it's predominantly environmentally themed. It's green design, climate change, global warming, energy efficiency, carbon footprint. That's what people pretty much describe sustainability to be. But in the context of a project and delivering a project, designing a project in the private sector, there's one word that always you've got to mention: financial viability, profit. And people sometimes are a little bit afraid to mention that word in the context of sustainability. It's not a dirty word. It's effectively a key part of project sustainability. The Brundtland example of definition of sustainability is environment, economic and social balance. So it can't be all just about environmental. It's a hugely important part of it, and for us it's probably the one area we believe we have the most amount of influence because of the design. We're generally speccing materials for a building, we're designing the utility system which ultimately drives the amount of energy consumption, the water consumption in a building. So the environmental element is where we probably have a huge amount of influence. And we do cross over into the economic side of the global definition of sustainability through the management of a client's budget, the operational life cycle costs of that particular building. And on the social side, we obviously have an impact in terms of the design of the building, the functionality and ergonomics of it for the users, perhaps the local community in terms of stakeholder engagement and consultation through the planning process, how that building will fit into the environment, the construction phase of it. Construction projects have a huge impact on local communities, so there's a huge amount of community engagement that's needed to be had at that stage. That's where we would have an influence in the social and economic, but predominantly it's environmental, I suppose a darker shade of green, you might say. Now, in terms of projects, and in the sector we work in, there are huge amounts of drivers for sustainability. People want to have sustainable facilities. People want to produce sustainably manufactured products. This is largely driven by corporate reputation and consumer demands for products. This year alone, I would have had 2 clients come and look to develop in their terms, a carbon neutral manufacturing facility. So that's a huge thing to be asked to do that. I mean, in this day and age, in the private industry, industrial companies wanting to have carbon neutral facilities. But the drivers for that, they're economic drivers. They're not environmental, they're economic drivers, because in order to increase their production, they need to become more environmentally friendly, hence things like carbon neutrality, because their customers are asking for environmentally more friendly products. One client in particular has huge product sales in the Japanese market, and that consumer base is saying, I will only buy environmentally friendly products. Demonstrate to me how your product was manufactured with low carbon, low water, this type of thing. So it all comes back to the economic side of it. So I suppose throughout this presentation, if I get one point across, just because you have photovoltaics and renewable energy systems, an environmentally friendly building doesn't make it a sustainable building. You need to have economic balance. There needs to be some balance in economics there. And obviously there's the social impact as well, but environmental sustainability needs to be balanced with economic sustainability. So in terms of challenges, one of the biggest challenges I come across is the perception of cost, that sustainable design costs more. Now, some clients are extremely well educated and they see the value in promoting sustainability, and they're the big blue chip players. But the others, on the other hand, they come to Ireland or they come to the UK or whatever market we work in, like from Shanghai to San Jose, we're involved in projects. The 300 million budget has been set by somebody somewhere in corporate world, and they have a project manager delivering that project. 330 million is over his budget. So we need to demonstrate to him that we can implement a project at a certain budget, or he's not going to entertain any change in scope, be that sustainable or otherwise. And unfortunately, you go through periods in project development that you get things like what's known as in the industry value engineering. And the first thing that generally goes are the renewable energy systems, or the what might be inverted commas sustainable type systems. So it's our challenge really in our project delivery platform to demonstrate to our clients that these actually are value add. It's the value add that's key to anything in terms of sustainable project delivery. So how do we do that? We have tried to develop a sustainable project delivery platform. So although we have governance in terms of our own PM group policies and procedures and ISO 14001 drivers, and we have lots of sustainability training, it's useless unless the client meets our values. So, and not every client will meet your values. And because we're a service provider, we have to be flexible in what we offer. So we need to be able to persuade, challenge, convince, whatever the word might be, clients sometimes that sustainable design is good for them. You can't always achieve that, but you at least have a try. You have an ethic responsibility sometimes to try. So we do that through our project life cycle. So the first point, there's some key tools in all of this, and the first point is that really at the early stages of a project, we roll out things like sustainable assessment of the project. We have developed internal project sustainability reviews tools that we sit down with a client and the design team, and we go through the full suite of topics from water to energy to material selection, social engagement, community, and we often try to tease out what it is that they're interested in, what their value add-on is, so we can include that in the base of design. Then we go through optioneering, and one of the next key tools is cost-benefit analysis. You need to sit down and you need to be able to sell to the client in terminology such as internal rate of return, return on investment, simple payback, the financial sort of metrics. You need to be able to sell to him why you may decide to put in a certain type of material or a certain type of technology system. That you need to demonstrate the value ultimately. So cost benefit analysis, sustainability review, discipline checklists for our designers and for the client team to leverage off. These are all sort of key tools. I'll give you some examples now in terms of projects that we've delivered and where we've used these tools to good example. That's actually this building. We were the project managers on that, and that was this building actually had the Green Building Award for 2010. So here we go. I have a project. This was a lot of the private sector is dealing with confidentiality agreements, so I can't name the client. But it was the client came to us. They wanted to develop, in their terms, a zero carbon project, zero carbon pharmaceutical building. So first step, sit down with them, define what it is. Turns out it wasn't zero carbon they were after, it was actually carbon neutral. So that was your first thing. Then we need to go through our sustainability review, find out exactly what they meant by that. So by going through that with the client, you end up finding that they actually value water consumption, wastewater, not just carbon, and we would have used our tools to develop and get that basis of design and those desire requirements down early, so that we can at least include them down the project. Cost benefit analysis is key because it gets early clearance from the client to include such systems like CHP and anaerobic digestion systems. Moving through the project then, procurement, you find that we in the detailed design, before procurement, through sustainable design reviews and letting the client in on the process, we were able to reduce the manufacturing space of the building, which meant reduction in HVAC systems, that's heating and ventilation systems, hence less energy for heating and cooling, alternative clean utilities. All of this we would do and use technologies that have and tools for detailed design that we mentioned earlier today. So BIM, I would say, is one of the key tools in the industry. Tom referenced it there earlier. It's a top tool, and it's going to be it's key in terms of efficiency of material selection. And the IES tool in terms of building energy modelling, that's another tool we will constantly use in most of our built environment projects. Another aspect on this job was not just the design phase, was the construction phase. So construction, as I said earlier, has a huge impact on the local community, not just the environment, albeit only temporary. So we would roll out programs such as the Consider a Construction Scheme, which is a system in the UK where you can it's voluntary obviously, but you can sign up to that, you get independently audited, and it demonstrates to planners when you're going for your project, and it demonstrates to the client, and it demonstrates to the local community that you will have a considerate performance when you're building a project. So it's all about noise, dust, waste, bringing local communities into the project itself. We brought school children into this one, made their day to see a construction project and big machinery. And it gives good positive vibes and good positive will for that particular company in that local community. Just a brief overview, so I see time check here, but a brief overview on some of the projects we've been involved in and used all of these tools. Janssen Biologics, this was the International Society of Pharmaceutical Engineers Sustainable Facility of the Year Award winner. Some of the aspects of this building were grey water recycling, which in the pharmaceutical business wouldn't be the norm. Johnson & Johnson, who owned this facility, would be clear leaders in the industry. We have a 40% reduction in the energy consumption of that facility compared with its industry peers across the globe. And the use of biomass technology, not gas-fired boilers, for the generation of for steam. Genzam Ireland, another project we were involved with. This was, anyone familiar with the LEED International Rating Scheme for Sustainability? This achieved LEED Gold, this particular development, which is the first LEED Gold project in Ireland. Again, during the construction phase, 95% of all waste was diverted. Construction waste, that is, was diverted from landfill. Other key metrics were 35% less industry against its industry peers. Again, all of these tools that were mentioned earlier from IES and BIM were being used on these projects. Some other examples, UCC Western Gateway, this at the time was Ireland's largest ground source heat pump, at 1 megawatt scale for heating and cooling. The Avivia building here that we're standing in, I talked about that. Some other ones then, we do a lot of work then for funding institutes across the globe, such as the Asian Development Bank, whereby they have a lot of money going into communities for integrated water management and wetlands protection. But one of the key projects here was the British Sugar there. This was a £65 million project, massive scale use of biogas generation, the equivalent of 20,000 homes would have heated with the amount of biogas generated, one of the largest ever in Europe. So we were the designers and the project managers on that. So the final message, just briefly, is that in terms of sustainability, you need to, for us in our service provider role, environmental sustainability is probably the one area where we can have the most amount of influence, but we need to really address that in terms of economic financial balance. If we don't do it with financial metrics, we don't translate environmental benefits into economic value, it will rarely happen unless the company has some corporate values in that regard. It's a key way of getting sustainability, particularly environmental sustainability, included on a project. It's got to be, sustainability has got to be sold as a value add. It clearly is a value add, but it's sometimes perceived as a cost extra. So by expressing it as a value add, you really will get more success in terms of your project delivery. So Thank you.